Hey guys, welcome back and welcome if you're new. I had to make an intro for this video because I did something very different this go around. I posted this video twice. So if you're catching this video, this is your standard compilation crafts for Halloween to give you inspiration. But if you are new to Cricut and you want the design space help, I've got that video for you as well. So just exit out of this video. You'll see it right next to this thumbnail on my home screen. That'll be the step-by-step tutorial on how I brought all these crafts together with design space. But if you don't care for any of that, this is the video for you. So let's go ahead and get started crafting for Halloween 2025. With Infusible ink, you want to be really careful with it because this is all ink. You can easily scratch or damage it, and then it's not useful, right? So you just want to be careful and mindful of that. I am using a sheet from the Galactic Stars patterns, and if it's still available, I will list it down below in the description box, along with the design details as well. So according to Design Space, the ghosts were removed and everything else stayed. So I want to go ahead and do that. If you use any tool, be careful to not scratch your ink. I'm going to bring in a weeding tool to try to pick up this ghost. Oh, pick up the ghost there. But you can see I actually scratched the ink. Not sure if my camera's going to focus, but it's right there. Just a line. So now there's like not a lot of ink there at all. Okay. So this Infusible ink is old, and I'm having some issues with peeling it back. It's not really wanting to peel all the way back from the backer. It's wanting to leave a little bit of a film. So I'm going to have to work slow here and just ensuring that I'm removing the correct areas of the Infusible ink, and some parts that I want to keep are actually wanting to come up. So I'm just going to have to bring in some tweezers to make sure that they are positioned correctly. Like this piece here, I'm going to have to place back down on this carrier sheet. This carrier sheet is also sticky, so that is helpful, you know, to keep the pieces that you want stuck down, but things can be shifted easily. So I've got all that white stuff there. It won't really come up. So I'm going to remove the most of it, the best that I can, but I'm just going to continue on removing the ghosts and then the little accents within the design. So it looks like a hot mess. It is not clean at all, but I think it's going to work because there's no color here. There's a little color right there, but on this ghost, but I can't really tear up that paper. So we're going to see. I need to trim down this excess transfer tape real quick, or the backer rather. I said transfer tape because it's sticky. Let's go ahead and turn on our mug press. Once it is heated up, it will turn green to let us know that it is ready for us to load our mug. And this is the stackable mugs that came in a 4-pack, but I just have a loaner, so I am going to use it for a mug for the house. So what I'm doing is just trying to line it up here. Hopefully this is not a dud. But I'm going to show everything because unfortunately stuff like this happens. So I just have a little more of this backer that I need to trim back so I can align this better. Let me get some heat resistant tape here. What I'm going to do is place it on the back because the ink side needs to be on the mug side, and I'm going to tape this down so it stays in place while I wrap the mug. Okay, so our heat press is ready. It chimed and it is green, indicating that it is heated up to the correct temperature for us. And I'm just looking this over to make sure it's aligned. I think it's going to be a little off, but it's going to be okay. This was a project that was a little bit, we were on the struggle bus. We were on the struggle bus. So I lifted that up to open this, and I'm just going to gently place this down and then shut the lid. So now it is going to work through its cycle, and once it's done, it'll chime and we'll remove it to reveal how it looks. And hopefully it's not a dud and this infusible ink will be okay, even though it looked like a hot mess. Okay, so it chimed, it is ready for us. So I am opening that up to remove the mug, and I'm just going to place it to the side and let this cool down. Okay, real quick before we move on, I made a major boo-boo. I forgot to put butcher paper around the mug to protect the inside of my mug press. Everything is fine, I think, but I've messed it up in the past. There's like adhesive inside here that has gotten on other projects. You can see it right there. Yeah, it's like a yellow, and it's just glue from, I think, the adhesive from this kind of like carrier sheet. So I'm sorry guys, always wrap your design. I used to not. I didn't do this for like a year, and then this happened. So I would rather be safe than sorry, just to always protect your mug press by wrapping your, or protecting your design. All right, let's move on. So let's go ahead and remove the excess here, starting in that top corner, and then just pulling away all of the excess, and then that's trash. And we've got that double layer there. So I'm deciding to not use the outline and use the ghost itself. So I'm removing this outer portion. So now we've just got the ghost, and let's remove the eyes and the mouth. And this is what we will iron on our shirt. How cute. And then you can see all the glitter. It's going to be such a fun craft. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and weed the rest. Okay, guys, I've got everything weeded out. I cut this apart and actually cut it back out and made it a little bigger. It was easier for me to work with. So what we need to do is prep our garment, and then we will start the ironing process. You must lint roll your garment and then heat it for 5 seconds before you place your iron-on down. So we are doing that. It's also recommended to wash and dry, if you dry your clothes, before you use your iron-on. So if you don't pre-wash and or dry your garment before you're ironing on, you're going to end up shrinking your garment, and then what's going to happen to your iron-on? It's not going to shrink with your material. It is going to end up peeling up because the garment shrunk, and it'll begin to lose its integrity and just peel up. So pre-wash and dry if you dry your garments before you iron on your designs. So let's finish this off here, getting this placed in position, and I think I like that position there. So let's go ahead and zoom in a bit so y'all can see a bit better. And I'm using my Cricut mini press. It is on medium heat and it is ready for us. So I'm going to go ahead and start to apply firm pressure, constant movement for 20 to 25 seconds. Once again, this is per Cricut heat guide for this material of garment and glitter iron-on. And pressure is really important to help that iron-on really get attached to those fibers or bond to those fibers. And this carrier sheet is kind of starting to lift up. So what I'm going to do is just let this cool down for a moment before I remove that carrier sheet. Well, it's actually starting to peel up from the back side too. So let's just go ahead and kind of start peeling this back. That stuck down great. We don't need to apply any more heat. And all of that stuck down perfect as well. So when that carrier sheet starts lifting up while you're using your iron-on, just go ahead and stop with the heat because it is ironed down. So this feels great. It looks great. Let's go ahead and move on to the elbows for the ghost. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out so y'all can see this shirt a bit better. So we've got the inside seam here. What I want to do is flatten the sleeve out so I have the back side, and making sure that seam is in the middle of the sleeve. As you can see here, the seam. And let's go ahead and prep our sleeve real quick. We've got the lint roller. Let's add a little heat before the iron-on. About 5 seconds per Cricut heat guide. And then let's lay this down. And the carrier sheet to the iron-on is sticky, so I'm just making sure that that is stuck down. And what I'm going to do is hold this up to my body to make sure it's in the correct place. So it was a little low, so I moved it up just a hair. I love this glitter on this pink. So what I'm gonna do is come back in with medium heat for 20 to 25 seconds and firm pressure as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my mini press off so that can start cooling down. I already peeled this carrier sheet off and this is adhered perfectly. I love how this looks, guys. This one's still cooling down, so I'm gonna give it another moment or so to cool down before I remove that carrier sheet. Let's go ahead and just air this out a bit. And I used glitter because this is a ribbed shirt. If I had used just regular iron-on or HTV, you would be able to see the ribs through that material because it's thin. So I used a glitter because it's a thicker iron-on material and it's textured, so it hides the texture of the shirt. Okay, I think that this is cooled down enough, so let's go ahead and remove this. Monitoring everything. It's stuck down great. So no more heat is needed. If for some reason this didn't stick down, if there was an area that lifted up, just place your carrier sheet right back on top. You always want to protect your iron-on, and then you'll come in with more heat, maybe 10 to 15 seconds, let it cool down again, and then remove the carrier sheet. So let's look at the shirt. So here is the back. So cute. And then we've got the spooky season. So I'd say that this is just too cute to spook. I love it and I hope you guys do too. Let's go ahead and move on to the next craft. I had this setting aside and I forgot about it. So let's reveal this before we bring in the third craft. Peeling back the tape. And so this is much darker than that transfer tape and darker than the box as well. But after all of that, I think it turned out pretty dang well. It is cute and a little bit spooky, and I love the colors. It is very different. So thank goodness this was not a dud. This is super cute. And I love this shallow coffee mug because I don't drink much coffee. I can't have too much caffeine, but I do drink coffee every day. So I'm definitely gonna use this up until Halloween. So for the next craft, I found these coasters from Hobby Lobby. There's 6 in here, and they're just round cork coasters. They also have square, and it was only $1.79. So we're gonna make 2 of these today. I've already got the design cut out on black iron-on, and I've got to cut these designs apart real quick for the weeding process. Okay. And let's go ahead and take 2 of these out. And I really like the example that they have displayed on the packaging with the paint. And I think it's actually all paint, but that is really nice. It would be neat to layer vinyl on top of paint, wouldn't it? Or I guess you could even make a stencil with your vinyl and then paint. You have a couple options there. So now for the weeding process, I'm gonna start in this top left corner here. Per usual, to start to peel this back, and this is iron-on, so it's got this carrier sheet, which is kind of sticky, and I am just peeling back all of the excess, going slow and monitoring it to make sure that nothing rips, or some areas may need a little assistance, so I'll come in with my weeding tool and help pick up little areas as well. While I'm weeding this, I just want to remind you guys to check the description box. I will list the Cricut Design Space design details if you want to use any of these designs this season. And the other tools and supplies that I use as well will be linked down below. So be sure to check that out. And if you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, those will be down in the description box as well. This is going to be really stinking cute. I'm so excited about this. And I love that it's in one color. It would be great to use multiple colors like the design and design space, but I really think this is going to look so nice on a coaster. Okay guys, so I was weeding out that bat and it was not wanting to weed out 2 little parts, and it just did not look good. So I cut out a different bat and I'm about to show you. I think it matches better with this design. But you can see here, these 2 little areas, they just didn't want to cut out, and it just doesn't look very pretty. You can see that it's missing. So that one was a dud. So let me cut off the excess iron-on vinyl here so I can put that away for a smaller project. And I'm going to bring in my weeding tool and start in that top left corner. I believe this bat is called Celestial Bat. But once again, I will list all the design details in the description box. One thing I really like about using the bat is because the two coasters will be so Halloween. We've got a bat, we've got the pumpkin, the skulls, and then a little bit of half moon action with the little fall leaves. I love all of these elements being brought together for Halloween. And I also really love bats. Something about me that y'all may not know or caught on after a couple of years of watching me. I absolutely love animals and insects as well. I believe everything has a purpose. So I've actually saved, along with my husband, 2 bats that were in a shopping center before. A few years ago when we first started traveling, actually. It was our first job, so 5.5 years ago. And he just had a glove. My husband had gloves, so he, like, you know, construction gloves, like leather gloves, thick leather gloves, and we picked them up because they would have gotten stepped on. They looked like little crunchy leaves in a shopping center during the day. And we picked them up and then stored them for the rest of the day and then let them out at night. And it was really neat to be able to help those little guys that were kind of stranded during the day in an unsafe little area. Okay, I'm going to continue to weed this out, and then we'll get it ironed on with our mini press. All right, so the weeding process is done. I'm going to turn on my mini press to low and let that start heating up. This is cork, so it's going to iron on quite quickly, so it'll probably, oh, I kind of sized that too big. I might have to angle it off a little bit. But it doesn't take too long for the iron-on material to adhere to cork. So low heat, and then we'll monitor it for time. Our heat press just chimed and turned green. It is ready for us. I'm just making sure that these are aligned and placed in the position. I'm gonna have this one hanging off a bit. So let's go ahead and bring in our mini press and start to iron this down for about, I don't know, 10 to 15 seconds. Firm pressure, of course. And really focusing on that edge there to make sure it's ironed down. Okay, and then I'll work on this one here and do the same thing. Monitoring, firm pressure. Okay, I think that that is enough heat. So what I'm going to do is turn these over on my countertop to let that heat draw out faster. I want them to completely cool down before I start peeling that carrier sheet off. I'm going to leave this one face down. This one's cooled down a bit, so let's remove that carrier sheet. Everything seemed to have been ironed down perfectly. We've got that excess there, no worries. Let's turn it over. I'm going to bring in my True Control knife and very carefully try not to scratch my countertop here because I don't, let me get my glass mat. Okay, bringing in my glass mat here so I have a hard surface that I can remove this extra vinyl from my coaster. Alrighty. It's a little frayed. Let me clean that up a bit more. I think I need a new blade on here, honestly. Okay, so there is our first coaster. I love how this looks. And let's bring in the second. Uh-oh, our pumpkin's lifting up. Okay, I'm gonna come back in with my mini press. I just laid that carrier sheet right back down, and I'm gonna focus on that area, firm pressure, and then add a little more heat all over, and then let it cool back down. And then we'll try to remove that carrier sheet once again. So it's still cooling down, but I think we're ready for the reveal. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I bought these. I love how inexpensive they are. Perfect for the season. You can quickly make these for gifts or for your home and throw them out or put them in storage for the next season because they are so thin, they won't take up space, but there's not much to them either. A very neat, quick, inexpensive craft for your home or a gift. I love how this turned out, guys. Love those designs, and let me tell you, it took me way too long to search through Design Space to find these. An embarrassing amount of time. All right, guys, so the next craft is a vinyl craft. We're gonna make a sign display for the home. So for our display sign, I've been weeding this metallic vinyl, and it is not hard to work with. I just have to go slow and help the letters with my weeding tool because some of them kind of want to be picked up with the rest. So I kind of wanted to show you the end of it here so you can see it wasn't too bad. Honestly, the parts that were the most difficult was the top part of each kind of line. I just had to use my weeding tool to get the vinyl to stick down to the backer, and then the rest was kind of simple. So I need to weed out some of the centers here, but like I said, it's not difficult to work with, so don't be apprehensive about purchasing it because it's not bad. You just have to go a little slow, and I think it's worth it in the end because it's a really nice textured vinyl, and I think it's going to look really nice on top of the black sign. So let me go ahead and finish weeding this out, and then we'll move on to the next step. I have the design completely weeded out so y'all can see it a bit better. I love this design. I've got my transfer tape cut down to size. I'm going to bring in my weeding tool to help me pick up this top corner here to separate it from its backer, and I probably should have removed a little bit at a time, but it's okay. I'm going to try my best to line this up straight. I did a pretty good job. Wow, that never happens. And now I'm going to take my scraper tool here and burnish it down. And I like to burnish on both sides, the front and the back, just to really help that vinyl get stuck down to that transfer tape. So I've burnished it down on the front and the back. I'm going to begin to remove the backer away, and everything's seeming to stick down well. That is really, really good. Okay, and now I'm going to center this the best that I can and align it. I'm going to bring in my scraper tool and staying on that transfer tape because I don't want to scratch the paint because I painted the back of this black. I've actually used this sign past 2 Halloweens. I just remove the vinyl after the season and I bring it back. I really like this sign here. It was from Hobby Lobby for $2.24. I don't even remember what was on the front, but I liked this darker wood. Okay, I am going to remove this transfer tape. Oh my gosh, I love this. And when the light hits it, it is so, so neat. Look at this. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite. Hands down, the color. I went with something different and I'm so glad that I did. Look at that. Completely transformed. Oh my gosh. Love it, love it. All right, guys, so we've got one more craft left. Let me do a mid-craft cleanup and I'll be right back. So I have these Sublimation blanks from Hobby Lobby. There are 6 bookmarks with tassels and they are 2 by 6 inches in size. I've got my heat press heating up to 355. The temperature on here says 356, but the Cricut only goes in increments of 5. So 355, so 1 degree off for 50 seconds, medium pressure. And we've got our Infusible ink here, which is the Distressed Berry patterns from Cricut. And if it's still available, I will link it down below for you. And now I need to remove the web and keep the rest based on the white space of the design in Cricut. I just gotta find a starting point. So what I'm gonna do is bring in some scissors. I've got the part that I need to keep, lift it up, and I cut the part that I need to remove. And this carrier sheet, once again, is sticky. Let's just hope that this is going to be better than our first Infusible ink project. I'm not sure if, I'm assuming it's because it's older, but I don't know. So I'm just going to continue to work on this, removing the web and keeping the rest. And when parts are wanting to lift up that I need to keep, I will just press them back down on the sticky carrier sheet. So I had a little issues weeding it out, but not too bad. I've got a little extra there. I can cut that off, but I'm just going to leave it for right now. I'm going to bring in my bookmark here, and I'm going to remove the tassel. Okay. And now I'm going to check it to see if there's a film over it. There is on the front and the back. So I'm going to remove that. And now I'm going to lay this down. And I've got my heat resistant tape here, so I can tape it down as well, because I don't want any shifting, of course. Okay, so I'm going to try to get it stuck down as best as I can. Let's go ahead and remove this excess now that it's on the bookmark, because I don't want that adhesive to heat up and get on anything from my heat press. So I'm just cutting off that extra adhesive. Let's cut the bottom off as well. And what I'm going to do is bring in this layered butcher paper here, and I'm going to place this just like so. I'm not using the heat resistant tape. It seems to be sticking down well enough. And then I'm going to place it like that. So now I'm protecting my heat press mat and my heat press. So now I'm going to bring in my heat press and press go. And it says medium pressure, so I'm just going to sit here just like this for 50 seconds. I'm not going to add any additional pressure or anything, because this is quite heavy. Okay, time is up. I'm going to turn off my heat press, being very careful. This is very hot. Let me go ahead and just grab my tweezers here, and let's reveal it. That is so cool. It turned out perfect. So I guess I could have a little more pressure, because there's still quite a bit of ink on this carrier sheet. But I love, 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 love how this turned out. Definitely better than the first project. Would you agree? So it's a wrap, guys. This is a compilation of Cricut crafts for Halloween 2025. My favorite is honestly this. I love that vinyl. I'm so glad that I bought it and used it. It was not difficult to work with. Everything turned out great. We had a little snafus along the way, but it's perfectly fine. It happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a favorite, definitely let me know in the description box. Let me know if you have any questions as well, and I'll see you in the next Card to Craft. Bye, everyone.